Hey, we're talking about everything geek. Up next on Geek at SA.
Do not attempt to adjust your YouTube video. We control the stream.
And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun. We're having technical difficulties.
We're not having technical difficulties. Lies.
We're not having any kind of fun.
We're lagging.
There's no technical difficulties. There's no fun to be had. Vincent, you're out. You're done. Do you need to go check what Stuart's got going on over there? I'll just take over the show and talk all by myself while you go help Stuart. Anakin will help me. He's going to get up here on the chair and he's going to help. No, not get up on Mommy's face and help me. So apparently today we're going to talk about all things geek because there's not a whole lot of like one single thing yet that we have to talk about. So we're going to just give you a a smushy potpourri of all the things that. And by smushy potpourri of all the things, what I mean is basically all the television shows that Vincent and I watch on cable and or Netflix or Paramount Plus or whatever, because that's pretty much the only geeky stuff we do anymore is watch television. So we're going to talk about all of those things and take you just on a little ride of our geeky potpourri lives or something. And Vince is still concentrating on stuff, so while I have the show, and Vincent doesn't seem to know what I'm talking about, let me go over some other things. Oh, hi, Vince. You're back to paying attention. All right.
Yeah, we have a thing with NVIDIA that doesn't like to work nicely with OBS, so we have to fix that every time we go live.
You know, when you talk like that, you sound like the teacher from Peanuts, right?
Well, to you, some people understand. But yeah, we're talking about geeky stuff today.
Isn't that what we always talk about?
Yeah, but we're doing a Geekpourri. We're doing a Geekpourri, and we're doing a Geekpourri at the last minute because obviously none of us had no idea what we were going to talk about today.
So I came home today and fell asleep at 5:30, and which is not good because the show starts at 7, and so then Vince tried to wake me up at 6:30, and then he and Stuart tried to wake me up again at about 6:50. So yeah. And there are some things that we want to talk about, but it's gonna take us kind of sitting down and thinking about storylines and stuff like that. So there are ideas that we had talked about during the week and we just never fleshed out.
It's not going? It's bad?
Oh. Because it's back to school time for Colleen, so I've had a couple of 14-hour days and you're amusing yourself. So some of you, I'm sure, are back to school or kids are going back to school next week, and so it's been definitely a week. So, but we have watched TV.
We have watched TV. That's one of the things we do consistently.
It is. And I gotta say, we watched the finale of the new Superman show, because I don't even remember the name of it at this point.
Superman and Lois.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I think that's very nice.
Well, at first it was Superman and his kids that you don't really care about.
Superman and his kids you can't stand because they're annoying. Okay, Superman and his twins, and one of them's all right, and you can kind of tolerate him, and the other one's really horrible, and oh dear God, that's the one who has powers. What's going on in this show, right? So, yeah, I mean, at first I thought, I'm never going to make it through this, and I feel I think this a lot when we start these shows. I feel what are we watching, and why are we watching this, and is he going to keep watching this?
That's perfect, Colleen.
So, what?
Kind of grumpy.
Stuart?
Told you, I'm here amusing myself.
Oh, God, that was funny.
That's why I was laughing.
All right. I see how it is, boys. There will be penance.
There probably will be.
Yes, there will be.
I can go home though.
I know where you live, so So I was surprised at how much I ended up becoming involved in the show and really liking it. And again, I think this boils down to kind of what I think you and Stuart and I say all the time is it ended up being the chemistry of all the actors involved. And yeah, there were some characters that I didn't necessarily like, but even those characters, the little actor who was the little son of Kal-El, who I didn't really like. It wasn't that I didn't really like the actor, I just didn't like that character.
Right.
But even that kid is really doing a good job acting. And so he was able to kind of bring me along and bring me over to his side. And so I ended up kind of liking him a little bit more. Like, he's not going to be my favorite character, I think.
What they did on there, they super hyper focused that he had kids and they wanted to focus on the kids. I don't think that was going well for them. And they must have rewrote stuff towards the middle in order to kind of get it to where it needed to be.
I guess.
Because why are you going to call it Superman and Lois and you only get half the time Superman and Lois?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to
that's
see.
What was missing it.
Oh, Anakin, honey. He scared himself and almost knocked the thing down. Goodness knows what it's looking like now. Well, and I was thinking that maybe that was supposed to be the premise with naming it Superman and Lois, is to show that Lois in and of herself is that second part of the team, and she has her strengths, right? Because in part of it you see her and she's still reporting,
right,
even though all this terrible stuff is happening. And I always got that feeling from the comics and from the animated shows and stuff that they are this team. And yes, Lois is human, but she's right there backing him up all along, right? And she's just as much of a hero kind of as he is, because she supports him and she will get into the fray with him and she will distract somebody if that's what he needs or whatever, so that he can do what he needs to do.
With having zero powers,
that's her
being
superpower
Lois.
is just distract.
Yeah, that's kind of her superpower, right? Is distraction. I've seen that.
Distraction and being saved.
Yeah, and being saved. Yeah. She needs to be saved a lot, but she does get in the fray. That's why she needs to be saved a lot. So,
but he didn't save her as much as I thought he would be saving her on this show.
no, she kind of saves him.
She kind of saves him.
She saves him on this, which was nice to see. And
But,
their son,
like
the other twin.
But like I was saying, they started doing this after halfway. They switched it up at that point. At some point, they got a different writers or something.
You think so? Or that was just kind of where they were planning on leading us, and was that just that building time at first?
I don't know.
Because we did need that background story of his sons end up finding out
did.
who he is, and one of his sons has powers, and so I got where they were going with the storyline. I didn't like the way they wrote the character.
Oh, Mona made it. And she says, made it.
Yay, Mona!
Hey,
Hi.
thanks for watching. Appreciate it.
Glad somebody made it.
Yeah, we barely made it, Mona. We barely made it. Yeah, Mona has some exciting prize stuff for us that we can give to our viewers. So I can't wait. But we're not going to talk
Very
about it.
cool.
It's a secret. Oh,
He got rid of my little hand.
he was trying to kill the hands. He hates the hands.
He knew I was going to pick him up.
So if you haven't watched Superman and Lois,
I missed one. I'm sorry.
I'm going back to sleep now. Back to bed.
I think it's a good watch. I think it's a rough start.
It's a rough start, so you need to get through that beginning
Yeah.
time. And some
I
people.
don't know. I think they could have done the first half better
I thought so.
by just giving more screen time to Clark and Lois.
I don't know. For me, it wasn't necessarily that. And maybe, too, like, those actors have to build that camaraderie and stuff before it works So maybe they even need the first few episodes, and that's why the first few episodes are always kind of rough of a show, because they need that time to kind of build that and get into those characters and be able to play off of one another.
I think I kind of didn't like that kid either.
I just thought the whole vibe of the show was whiny.
Yeah.
Right? It just seemed like the whole vibe was whiny.
Yeah, it was kind of whiny.
Yeah. And that's not what I associate with Superman, right?
And I don't think the people that are watching it that's what they were associating with that, because if you say Superman and Lois, people are going to watch it because they watch Lois and Clark,
which was so good.
Which they wanted to feed off of, but they didn't see. They did a little bit different, and we saw Superman a whole lot more than we did in Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
Because usually in Superman and Lois we saw him as Clark, but this time we saw him as Superman.
Yeah.
It's coming to the point where like they've always said that Superman is his alter ego, not the other way around.
Right.
This one, it's starting to flip it to where he's Superman and his alter that
he's Clark.
He's Clark.
And Superman is his alter ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
So we're getting to see this dad, this family man, this son-in-law, this husband, this friend to people in the community, like who he is as a person. And then I think too, they're trying to show us that because Superman is always this larger than life superhero character, that he actually does have chinks in his armor, right? And there are ways to get to him, and there are things that can bother him, and there are, ways to harm him, and so
there's things he has to deal with, like the rest of us do, when you have kids and you're married.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting aspect. They kind of, what everybody hates so much of them doing with Superman is humanizing him. I think they did a good job of it on the show.
I would agree with that, and I really did like that aspect of it, because you even see with his interaction with Lois's dad, like, okay, yes, he's working with this military leader because, this is the country that he's in and this is the military leader, but also he has that son-in-law, father-in-law thing where he's like, okay, I want to make my father-in-law like happy or impressed with me because then he'll like me more as my wife's husband,
Yeah.
So you got to see some of that dynamic as well.
But it's not so much in your face.
No, you have to pay
spell it out.
attention.
You have to pay attention to it.
Yeah, you have to pay attention to it. And then, like you said, you get to see him as a husband, and he and Lois argue about how to raise the kids and how to treat the kids and how to teach the kids about his powers and what his responsibilities are and stuff like that. So you do get to see a lot of that, like, this is married life and this is really what it looks like. And so he's Clark, like you said,
right.
and he's only Superman when the world really needs him. With the majority of his life, he's just Clark, trying to do the good for his community and take care of his family, just like all the rest of us. So I did like that aspect, and I think that's probably one of the things that helped bring me around to enjoy this show a little bit more.
Right.
Was they finally got to the point where they were doing a good job with those storylines.
So your problem with the character was Jordan.
You had a problem with Jordan, and kind of the twins in general, and a little bit at first, even Superman, like Lois and Clark, they were all just kind of whiny. They all just seemed like kind of whiny, They and like, I get that life is hard and you can be upset about it, but like, not everything has to get you to be so triggered all the time. Like, you just can't be upset about everything all the time. And then the twins are teenagers. And for that one twin, for Jordan, to be throwing tantrums the way he was, and like the other twin has been carrying him all this time, and the other twin just kind of gets like shoved to the back and like basically treated as insignificant when he's basically been holding his brother up this whole time.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't like that dynamic. I thought, well, that's real ugly. That's not nice. And they should really tell this other kid to kind of, get it together and recognize him. And so then when, Lex comes in from this other timeline or whatever, and the other twin gets to have some kind of like time and gets to see that, hey, yeah, I don't have powers like Dad and my brother, but I do have these benefits, and here's Mom and she has these benefits, right? And there's things that as human beings we can do, because Lex is not super powered. He's just like using technology, right? And so I think when they started to do that and say, okay, well, I have all these special abilities and stuff and these things that are good about me, and yeah, here's Dad and brother who have all these things, but brother is kind of whiny and he's not accepting these really well, and so he needs this strength of the twin to kind of be like, hey, this is kind of how you work through this, and the world kind of needs you now and you've got to kind of work through this. Then I started to like that dynamic, and I think that's where they were trying to show us.
Yeah.
But I just thought they were just like a little too whiny with the characters at first.
A little bit, yeah.
To get that point across. So for me, that was just a little much. But I think they got there in the end.
I do. I think they got there. I'm waiting for the next season. I'm also waiting for Supergirl to come out.
And this will be it for Supergirl.
This will be the last one.
And I'm gonna be like really kind of sad because I was really concerned that it was gonna be too like in your face girl power and they were gonna like tank it. And probably from like the second episode from Supergirl, I really loved this show for a very long time.
Yeah.
I just like really kind of jumped into it really quick.
You struggle with the first season though.
Like the first couple of episodes, but I don't think the first whole season. I don't like Callista Flockhart. Just something about her face bothers me now. So her as Kat and like, being Supergirl's boss, I was like, ugh, I don't like her.
I kind of miss that aspect of her.
I do too. Yeah, I liked her actually. I'm just kidding.
I wish she would come back.
Yeah.
Because she was supposed to.
Yeah.
But then they just moved on without her.
I guess she just decided she didn't want to, and she wasn't. And they really kind of...
She don't need to. She's got all that.
Got tons of money.
Yeah.
Ellie McBeal money, is that what it was? That she was on?
She's got Harrison Ford money.
Yeah.
Oh, she's got Harrison Ford money, yeah.
That's where I was going with that.
What was I going to say? They really, and that's interesting that you say that because they really moved away from that aspect of Supergirl's life where we saw more of her personal life, which I think was one of the things that I liked about it. And they moved away from her like being a reporter and stuff like that. And it has been a lot more of her just like fighting things.
Yeah.
So I have not actually enjoyed the show, I think, as much as it's gotten into some of these later seasons because we stopped seeing some of that human side to her. And I miss Jimmy Olsen, and like just some of the other characters that were on there that were like her friends and stuff. I like this, I like these little friend shows. Like that's why I'm like currently in love with Stupid She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. I cannot help it. I love that show, Stuart. Do not give me that face.
I like the show too.
I love all the little princesses and their little friend stuff, and they're so cute. I love it.
I mean, it's very anime-ish.
It is.
It is, and it's just real cutesy. It's just like something fun. Like you've had a long day and you sit down and there's these cute little friends and it's kind of like My Little Pony Care Bear-ish. And it's just like, oh, we're so fun and we love each other.
Nothing like the Care Bears.
And we saw the cute little episode we saw last night, one of them, and they were like basically kind of playing a role-playing game with little characters of themselves, but they were really trying to plan an attack on like the horde, and it was just so cute. It was just so cute. I don't know, I love it. I like that. I like those kind of friendshipy kind of shows and stuff that.
Well, talking about that, and it's Geekpourri, have you seen the new Masters of the Universe?
So I've seen the trailer for it. I haven't seen the show.
Yeah, it's not out yet, just the trailer.
Yeah, but I don't like that kind of animation. It very much reminds me of Reboot, right? That
Kind of, yeah.
kind of, right? And it's funny because I showed my teenagers, my middle schoolers, Reboot because I thought, man, Reboot is awesome, right? And I'm going to share this with the kids. And they thought I was kidding. They thought it was like, you know, somebody made like a makeup thing for YouTube, like to spoof people or whatever. And I was like, no, dude, this was a show. Like, I love this cartoon. And then they started researching it.
Cutting edge computer animation back in the day.
Yeah, and so then they were like researching it and everything, and they were so excited about it, and they were like, this is ridiculous. I love it. You know. They were like, Reboot is basically a meme in and of itself, right? So it was pretty funny. So I am not looking forward to seeing the new He-Man just because I don't like that animation style.
Kind of look like chibi type things.
Yeah.
And everybody has the power.
We've all got the power. Let's just share the power and love the power. Which is why I really hated that one Thundercats that they did as well.
And it's in space.
Thundercats Roar.
Oh, right. Because it's in space. Yeah.
Thundercats Roar. That was horrible.
I hated that.
I didn't watch that.
Oh, the animation was just, I don't like that style of animation.
That one was like Adventure Time.
That one was more like...
My kids probably would have liked it because it was very similar to like Teen Titans Go or something.
It was kind of Adventure Time-ish, more like that type of...
Never saw it.
I couldn't. Like, I struggled with that. And I usually love, like, I'm usually the first one in line for some kind of animated show.
Mona says, I did catch a first episode of Supergirl and it sucked me in.
Yeah, Supergirl's great. One of the animated shows, because I am sucked in by the animated shows a lot. Not as much anime, but sometimes the anime, but just more like animation, like kind of American animation, I think. But one of the ones that we got kind of sucked into that we're in the midst of watching is called Eden, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Where it's about these robots that have this society. And like to them people are bad or whatever, and they think people are like extinct. And then they find this baby. And so then these two robots are secretly like raising this human child, right? And she kind of becomes part of their like outcast robot community because they run off with her so that she doesn't get killed. I don't know that that's American animation or if it's an American anime style or whatever. And we're not finished watching it. But I
like it.
I've been really liking that one. So I'm curious to see if we're ever going to find out where this human came from because so far they don't know where any of the other humans are.
Taiwanese American production, yeah. So it's really cool. I think you might actually like that one, Stuart. It's very interesting to see that. And they're very confused by her, and she's the way they kind of talk about her and like what humans are and stuff. You're like, oh, that's a funny take. Like if someone didn't know what a human was, you know. So I think they do a good job of that on that show, is getting from that.
So we've been throwing ourselves into other shows as well. The shows that have been on for a while, like Discover.
Oh yeah. So we got Paramount Plus, and we were just going to do the free trial so that we could like watch Picard and maybe watch some Discovery. But we weren't able to finish Discovery in the trial time period, and we actually liked it enough that we were like, oh well, let's keep watching. And then I know we talked about this last week because we talked about Star Trek, but since you brought up the Lower Deck, Stuart, and you didn't like it, but Vincent and I really think it's funny. Like we really like it. So
I can't be friends anymore.
I'm sorry. It's hilarious. They're ridiculous. They're ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And it's hilarious because it's stupid. It's just like DC Legends of Tomorrow. You go into it knowing that it's going to be ridiculously stupid. And so it's just funny because it's stupid, right? And it's just like, this is the most ridiculous garbage I've ever seen. It's hilarious.
Maybe I'm at that age and I have teenage kids that just, that's all.
Oh yeah, maybe because
I just can't anymore.
Because for us it's like a break. So, you know, we'll watch something serious or we'll be watching or we've had a long day or whatever, and so to come home and we don't have teenagers giving their 2 cents worth while it's going on, right? It's just us.
If I wanted to watch Below Decks, I have a car trip for an hour home.
Right.
After school.
Right.
That's basically it.
Yeah, and maybe once all my kids are back
and I'm teaching, I may not be able to watch it again because my ears will be ringing and my head will be hurting by the end of the day of all the preteen teenageness. But for right now, I thought it was funny. I was
It's good.
laughing.
I'm gonna keep watching that.
Yeah, I was laughing my brains out. So
I'm waiting for Picard to come out, but it's not coming out till next year.
yeah, no. But luckily, we have a couple of more seasons of Discovery. I don't even think we're finished with the first season yet.
No, we're not.
And
that's
then
good.
animation, if we're going to keep on the animation track, because I have been like really into the animation lately. And Stuart, again, didn't really like this, but I really liked it. And maybe it's because it was like all girl power and stuff, but that What If, where Agent Carter becomes Captain America. Why didn't you like that one?
I just thought there was no voice acting. They were just reading scripts.
Oh, really?
That was bad, and there was some things in there that was like, it's a space stone, and now it does time travel now? What about the time stone? It was just some bad writing.
Just some bad writing and
And
stuff.
I'm hoping it gets better. And the animation style, it just looks like porcelain dolls. And I don't
Oh, you don't like that? See, and I liked the animation
I don't
style.
like that. But I mean, for what it was okay. But I have to see a few more. But I've got a sneaking suspicion it's all going to be all the heroes are bad, and we have to replace them with chicks or people of color, and that's what it's going to be. Whereas I've read a lot of the what ifs from like the 80s and the 90s. I can't say I've read all of them. Well, I might have read the tail end of the first series and like a lot of the second series. And most of the what ifs in the comics usually went bad. So it was more of the here's a scenario and this what would have happened, and when you read it you go, oh well, I'm kind of glad that the superhero went this way and they became whoever. Whereas in this one it's like, Peggy Carter's much better than Captain America. She should have become Captain America. Captain America is bullshit.
I didn't think so. I thought she was just good in her own right, and I thought they showed us Steve enough and Steve's strengths in the suit that he gets and the advancement of tech. Maybe I was watching a different thing. Maybe I just make things up in my head as I go along.
Why did Stark build a suit? Stark was never about building a suit. It's like, they just made that up. It's just like crap. He was all about building power reactors and stuff for the world.
Yeah.
And it's, oh look, now he makes a suit that his son was
Gonna make, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so this is one of the things that I was talking to Vincent about, is that what if, that makes me do the what if thing, because I like mashup type stuff, and so then I'm thinking of like all these what if scenarios. But I'm like you, Stuart, or like the comic book writers, is I'm thinking what if is more of like, what if this happened and then we didn't get this superhero, right? Or what if this happened, and like the one I was telling Vincent today that just came off the top of my head was like, what if Tony Stark is like, 11 or 12 or whatever, and his parents get murdered like Bruce Wayne style. And so now he has this money from this tech company or whatever, and he, we know as an adult that he has this addiction problem and propensity, and like, so what if Tony Stark becomes like a dark Batman-esque type character, like in the Marvel universe, or maybe like, goes even further to like the dark side, and he's like even more of a vigilante, but he makes all this tech, like Batman. But Batman has Fox to make the tech for him, but in this one, Tony's smart, he's a genius, and he's making his own tech, right? And so he's just, and then he's like martial law, right? And takes over the city, and he's like, I've decided this is what's best for you because I'm Iron Man, I'm Tony Stark. And, like I could see him going like full on Batman to the extent of like martial law and like taking over and stuff like that. So
yeah, what we're missing, which we haven't seen yet, is the next one, which is what if T'Challa became a Star-Lord?
Well, again, I'll reserve my thing.
yeah, I don't know, why is that even a what if? Like, I don't understand why that's even a what if.
That's really obscure.
That's really obscure. Like, I don't understand why that's even a connection. I don't get that at all. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I'm sure when we watch it, it will probably make tons of sense.
But because there was like limited screen time, if any, with either of those characters.
Yeah.
Whereas Peggy Carter and Steve Rogers, you had chemistry there. You have zero chemistry.
I know. What did T'Challa and Star-Lord have to do with each other at all? They're barely like even touch into each other's
They're about the
universes.
same age.
I guess. I don't know. That seems like a weird, really
So
obscure.
I'm assuming the Ravagers come to Earth and just pick up a random kid instead of picking up the right one.
Maybe. Yeah. They're like, that kid looks good enough. We'll take him.
But that doesn't work because
No, that's not because.
the whole point of it, the whole point of him becoming Star-Lord is because his dad gave him this power and
Right. That's supposed to be the point of that.
so his dad turns up and turns him evil and when everybody dies. That's awesome.
Yeah. Right.
And the new Star-Lord saves them all because he's so awesome.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to watch it.
We'll have to watch and
We'll
see.
have to watch it and see. But again, I didn't really like the first one.
Oh. I
mean,
enjoyed it,
It
and
was
maybe.
okay. It was.
And maybe I enjoyed it because I really loved Peggy Carter, and I was really bummed out that show canceled. I loved Agent Carter. I love that show. I love that actress. I really wanted that. So I think just to see her again.
I see where he's coming from with the voice acting. I had a problem with Hallie Atwell's character voicing on there.
Really?
It seemed kind of flat.
There's just no emotion. I
Yeah.
mean, as actors, they're good actors, but I guess when they're not bouncing stuff off and they're in a studio just recording their voice, it's like.
And it's definitely
I think-
it's definitely a different skill set.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah,
definitely
that
is
was-
a different skill set.
So maybe.
Which you rarely see. He was really good.
Yeah.
The Howard, because it was the same character that played him in some of the movies.
Yeah, I thought Howard Stark was good.
Yeah.
Animated, like his voice and everything was good. Yeah, but just because Mark Hamill can do it doesn't mean all the rest of y'all can do it. You know, it's definitely a different skill set that you have to have.
That might be an error on their part to say that, well, it's cool that they've got the same voice actors, but they don't do voice acting.
Yeah, they don't do voice acting, so that may not work for you. Yeah.
Because you have to emote vocally when you're usually can just emote with your face.
With your face sometimes, yeah.
And a lot of the time when I was watching it, it was like the animation is emoting, but the voice is not changing. There's no picture anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I picked up
I
on
guess
that a
I
little
didn't
bit.
pick up on that because, again, I watch it in my own little world.
Of course.
And so in my world, it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Finally, we can all play into
Now I'm going to go back and watch it, and then I'm going to be like, oh, sad. No, I don't like it.
it was entertaining, but again, I have to watch a few more to say.
Do I really like it?
Because
Yeah.
again, that one I was like, Steve Rogers was crap. She just kicks butt everywhere and did everything twice as quick as Steve did.
Right?
So Steve sucks.
Well, Steve never really had
Well, yeah,
that. He
But-
never had that side of himself where he had to push the boundaries or anything.
But what you also see in that is that what happens if you put somebody that's not frail
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
in
Right.
there.
Because she was
She wasn't frail at all.
She wasn't frail, and she was never hobbled by this like need to impress people.
Right.
Like she always fought tooth and nail for everything she got. So then when the powers that be were telling her no, she was like, you've been telling me no my whole life, so I'm not going to listen to you any more now than I was before. So I think that was the aspect that I really kind of
Yeah.
liked of it, was that
I
we
like
got
that
that.
aspect too, but yeah, I kind of picked up
On what Stuart said.
But I think it was just mostly just her voice acting
Really?
that threw it off for me.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, I like everything else about it.
Of course, because you like everything.
'Cause
I
like
mean,
everything.
he likes everything. But I guess her voice acting was better than poor Omega in Bad Batch because Stuart hated Omega.
New Zealanders with your All Blacks and your hacker at the start, and you're stealing our sheep, and what else? Oh, Hadley's a wanker. It's a 90s cricket reference. Only New Zealanders watching it will get it, and they'll be upset at me. Oh, it's enough. I just can't.
Yeah, Stuart just couldn't. I was like,
can't do
I
it.
hardly ever see Stuart on his phone. Like, I'm on my phone all the
'Cause
time.
I try and put stuff, but it's like, too many New Zealander accents. Ugh.
He struggled with the Bad Batch. It was rough.
I mean, it was an okay story, but it's basically another Star Wars story where they have a cutesy thing take over, and
Right, and I knew that was going to bother you because you were like, oh, it's Baby Yoda, but it's a kid.
it's a teenage.
It's a clone kid that never gets to grow up.
clone
Well,
kid.
great.
Ay, ay. With a New Zealand accent.
With a New Zealand accent.
All
How
fucking
dare
New
they?
Zealand. There's not a sheep inside. Done with it.
It was awesome. The haterade was awesome.
I have no idea what's up with sheep and Australians and New Zealanders.
Here it is. Here's a scoop for you. Australians, New Zealanders, and South Africans, we all make the same jokes at each other, but we just reverse who's in it.
There you go. See? So
I
now-
could do one, but we might get a community standard.
Yeah, let's just not. Okay, let's just not.
So yes, there's some rivalry there we have
Yeah.
because of the
It's-
distance.
Like if you're from Texas, it's like an A&M UT kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's like that. Just think of it that way. Yeah. So then I'm sure that Stuart really, really hated it at the end, which we're gonna spoil for you. So spoiler alert if you haven't watched the end of Bad Batch. I'm about to ruin it right now. I bet Stuart really hated it when they saved the little robot. He's like, stupid robot. Why did they go to all the trouble to save that stupid robot?
Because it's a kid, and the kid likes the robot.
It's a kid and the kid loves the robot, and they're even carrying the cute robot, and
And the kid is the leader.
the kid is the leader.
New Zealander kid.
The New Zealand child is the leader.
Oh, she's older than all of them.
She is older.
Yeah, I know.
Which they kind of really don't pop on us until the end, which I thought was a good twist because
Yeah.
I guess I was under the impression the whole time that she was newly
No,
cloned.
but she's like Boba that naturally progressed.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
because we all know where that's going. She's going to be in future stuff.
There's going to be more stuff. So I don't have a problem with New Zealanders, so I actually liked the Bad Batch. I thought it was pretty good. I was talking to my co-teacher today, because she's a super Star Wars fanatic. Like, she's got an Ahsoka figure on her desk at school and everything, right? And so she was like, okay, I gotta know, like, how did you like it? And I was like, no, I actually really enjoyed it. And she was like, I felt like we saw too many of the missions. And I was like, yeah, but I feel like that was kind of the point, right? Is we were supposed to see these guys like working as a team and going through the missions and how their teamwork was before and how
They were supposed to like relate it to like the Clone Wars.
right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. And I like
it
that
is.
style of animation that's in the Bad Batch and the Clone
Yeah.
Wars. I like that style of animation. So I really enjoyed watching that. So if you haven't watched the Bad Batch and you don't hate New Zealanders,
And if you're not from Australia,
if you're not from Australia, you'll be
If you're
fine.
not from Australia or South Africa, I think you'll be fine.
And if you like little kids,
so New Zealanders will love it.
yay, New Zealand.
they might say, that's a little bit patronising, but
It's a little patronizing.
So us Americans will love it.
guys love everything.
This one, he loves everything. I usually have a problem with stuff, especially at the beginning, and then I kind of tolerate it, and then I'm pretty good like through the middle of it, and then towards the end I'm like, this is garbage again. Why are we still watching this trash?
Why have I wasted half my life on this?
Yeah. And then Vince is like, you don't even know what's happening because you've been playing your app games the whole time. And I'm like, I know what happened, and he's like, that's not what happened, and I'm like, well, that's what happened in my head. And so
How it works.
and that's how we go, and that's how we do it.
Even when going late?
No, he just wants us to be quiet and end so we can get out of here. He's like, and we're done. You're down to 30 minutes now, 30-minute shows.
No, we're at 40 minutes now.
Are we really?
Yeah.
That went quick.
Yeah, I know. See what happens when we wake you up and you're grumpy?
I swear to God, if y'all had woken me up and they weren't gonna not do the show after I had been like, I don't want to do that. I'm tired. I'm grumpy. And then I go lay down and then wake me up and then be like, oh, well, we're not gonna do the show now. I was like, I am gonna kill some people if we don't do this stupid show. I swear.
And that's what I've been hoping for all.
You know, I know Stuart wanted me to rage, because Stuart gets to see me off camera. So he was like, show the world what you're really like.
Would have been a good show. We might have gone viral.
We could have gone viral finally, Vince.
This is getting me ranting on New Zealanders.
That's going to send us viral.
I hope not.
San Antonio show insults all of New Zealand. All right, well, we better be done now. We're done.
But thanks for checking us out. We really appreciate it. If you haven't clicked on that subscribe button, click on that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so the next time we go live, you'll know. But thanks for checking us out. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Stuart, who hates New Zealand.
Geek
Geek out,
SA.
SA.